This video is brought to you by Nebula. At last, it is time. I have finally decided to tackle the great unanswered question of pop music. Is Fast Car a good song?
You get a fast car.
See, this is the power of being a professional influencer and tastemaker such as myself. I could make or break the song with a simple thumbs up or down, and I promise you that I take that responsibility very seriously. I have weighed every note and every lyric thoughtfully and carefully, and I think I'm ready to deliver my final verdict. Fast Car is good. There, see? Now you know. Because I just told you.
So remember when we were driving in your car.
Now I know some of you are saying, what? I mean, I'm glad to know that Fast Car is good, but isn't that song from like the 80s? Aren't your pop song reviews usually of new songs? I count on you to keep me up with what's going on in modern pop. Okay, here's what's going on in modern pop. I don't know. Your guess is as good as mine. This has been, so far, an astonishing down year in pop music. I have no idea what's going on. Those big, ubiquitous, huge songs making waves that I like to cover, I haven't seen a one. The biggest name right now is Morgan Wallen, who is bizarrely trying to be a superstar while lying as low as humanly possible so that he doesn't step in it again. And then new projects from Ed Sheeran, Post Malone, Drake, even newer names like Jack Harlow have all kind of landed with wet flops. I mean, they're there, but no one really has any thoughts about them. In the past, when I've covered down years for pop, it was because harder hip-hop took its spot. But it's also been one of mainstream hip-hop's worst years ever. I literally can't remember mainstream hip-hop having a down commercial year in my lifetime. Okay, so then if the big names aren't hitting, then we must be getting a lot of weird TikTok hits filling in the gaps, right? Not really. Like, there are a bunch of TikTok hits, but they're all a bunch of old, deep cuts from established artists. Like, here's what TikTok's delivered. A Chris Brown song from 2018, a The Weeknd song from 2016, a Miguel song from 2012, a Gaga song from 2011. All big radio hits this year. I don't know. What seems to be happening is that no one wants new music anymore. Old music is kicking new music's ass. One of the most anticipated records of the year is Taylor Swift continuing to George Lucas her way through her back catalog. And she also has an older, deep-cut fan favorite climbing up the charts right now, the second time she's done this in 2 years. And so we make it to right now, where after Morgan Wallen, the biggest song is Fast Car. How did we get here? Okay, so let's rewind a few decades.
Sorry.
This is the folk singer Tracy Chapman, who I guess you could make the case that she was like Adele in the late 80s. Like Adele, she made the kind of safe, tasteful, traditional music that the critics of the time ate up, and she won a good amount of awards. You can criticize her on those grounds, but also her songs were just obviously amazing, and if they don't pull at your heartstrings, what are you, a fucking serial killer or something?
You get a fast car. I got a plan to get us out of here. Been working at
The biggest and most beloved of her singles was Fast Car, a yearning folk song about a couple trying to escape poverty and an unhappy childhood together. It was a top 10 hit in 1988 and continually a very beloved song ever since. Might be the most universally beloved song of my lifetime, honestly. Fast forward to 2023, when Fast Car is again suddenly near the top of the charts, but this time as a cover song, which is actually a kind of a rarity in the 2020s on the charts. This one comes from country star Luke Combs, and I swear to fucking God, I'm not trying to make this an all country music all the time channel. It's just what's happening right now. Like I said, weird year. Luke is one of the biggest country stars alive, but I think this is his first time he's had any sort of crossover outside of country. Now, my feelings on Luke Combs are I don't know, I've always been kind of resistant to him. I was trying to get back into country music a few years ago when he was the new hot thing, everyone was recommending him, and I listened and I wasn't really impressed. It seemed like he was being praised mostly for not being a jeans model who rapped about dirt roads, but I don't know, I didn't think he was as authentic as he was hyped up to be, and the songs weren't there. But I kept listening, and eventually he did win me over.
I'd have a Friday night crown in the palm of my hand.
The song that really turned me around on him was Doing This, which is about how if he weren't making music for a living, he'd be making music for not a living, because he loves it so much. And I don't know, but that really hit me. Like, have you noticed there aren't a lot of songs about loving songs anymore?
Still be doing this if I wouldn't do this.
I don't know, it just feels like there's no one selling the idea of loving music as well as he does these days. So I guess it fits that he's the one who brought back an old song to the top of the charts. So you know what? Let's hear it.
You got a fast car, and I want to take it to anywhere. Maybe we make a deal. Maybe together we can get somewhere. Any place is better. Starting from zero, got nothing to lose. Maybe we'll make something.
Yep, that's a cover of Fast Car, all right. You wouldn't think there'd be that much to say about it. But believe it or not, I have heard more chatter about this cover version than almost anything this year. In fact, I would almost call it controversial. And you might be asking, what on earth could be controversial about this? Well, mostly it's what he does with the song, which is nothing.
I got no plans, I ain't going nowhere.
It is as straight a cover of a song that's ever existed. Like, there's a guy with a southern accent singing it now, and the production is a tiny bit more polished, backbeat's a little louder, there's a tiny bit of pedal steel guitar at the beginning, but otherwise, yeah, I'm pretty sure every note, every vocal inflection is identical to the original.
You'll find work and I'll get promoted. You'll find work and I'll get promoted, and we'll...
I was surprised that they even adjusted the key. It's basically exactly the same. And so, because of that, I've seen two competing takes on it. The first being, I was skeptical, but actually, this kind of slaps. And the other one being, this is pointless and has no reason to exist. Why is this song everywhere? My take on it is, I'm never gonna complain about hearing a good singer singing a good song. So I'm like, sure, yeah, why not? But as to whether it has a reason to exist, I don't know. That's a decent question. Does it? Does it deserve to be here? Does it deserve to be a bigger success than the original? Does this contribute anything to the world? Because it's not like a new take on it. Why, of all things, did this take off? Okay, one of my colleagues, Grady Smith, who runs a good channel, check him out, he did an interview with Luke Combs. And Luke says he threw the song on the record at kind of the last minute, and he's as surprised as anyone that it blew up.
Are you flabbergasted by the response, streaming-wise, to Fast Car?
Oh, definitely. Yeah. I mean, I was not expecting that. What are the people going to like, right? What do I think is going to be everyone's favorite song? And I'm always wrong.
And it sounds like his manager was actively against him putting it on the record.
I remember Jonathan tried to talk me into not cutting it. Because he was like, what's the point of cutting this? Like, why would you put it on there?
But as for why he did it, he explains here.
My dad's a huge music guy. He listens to literally everything and has for a long, long time. But I remember just him playing it in the truck. He had the cassette tape of it. It was like, I knew it was a hit song before I even knew what a hit song was.
He's also repeated this story in concert, and I love that Combs feels like he needs to preface this, like, oh, how could a country singer know Fast Car? From my dad, who he listens to like everything. Yeah, I know Fast Car from my dad too, and he didn't listen to anything. He listened to nothing but country music. He had 3 modern rock records: Hootie, R.E.M's Out of Time, and Tracy Chapman's self-titled.
Talking about a revolution.
My dad, who was like a conservative military guy, was listening to a protest singer with songs about poverty and oppression and lyrics like this.
Why are the missiles called peacekeepers when they're aimed to kill? Why is a woman still not safe when she's in her home?
And he still listened to it because he was living in America in 1988 and everyone had that goddamn album. It was very popular. And it's not like Fast Car has faded through the years either. It was still as big as it ever was when Combs covered it. Like, I don't know what his manager meant when he said he didn't see the point of covering it, but if I had to guess, I'd say it's because we don't need any more covers of Fast Car. Because do you realize how many covers of Fast Car we have already?
I had a feeling that
It's a lot. If you've picked up an acoustic guitar more than twice in your life, you have played this song. There was even an EDM cover of it on the radio a few years back. Do you remember that? That was a thing, I swear. But of course, Luke Combs does change it by being him. Which leaves us the question, is Luke Combs stealing Fast Car? Grand Theft Auto, stolen Fast Car. Like, yes, Luke is putting money in Tracy's pockets right now, so she's probably not complaining. And it's a folk song. Folk songs are meant to be covered. There are a zillion covers already. But Luke Combs is the first one to actually out-chart the original. So the question is, like, is this going to erase the original in people's minds? And is that okay? Especially since, and I'm sorry for going there, but Luke is a white man covering a black lesbian protest singer, repackaging her song for the kind of people who listen to mainstream country music. That could hit some people wrong, especially with the long history of white people exploiting black music. And yes, I have seen takes like that about Fast Car. But honestly, not really that many. In fact, let's pump the brakes on that right now. For one, let's not say that Luke Combs' version has overtaken the original quite yet. It's charted higher, but charting at number 2 now means 6 billion times less than charting at number 6 in 1988 when people actually bought music. But also, if you're worried about white people taking over Fast Car, I'm sorry, the ship sailed on that one a long time ago. You can go back and read Tracy Chapman's earliest interviews, and all the interviewers are like, so, a lot of yuppies listen to your music, huh? A lot of rich white people fucking love you. Weird, right? Meanwhile, no less an authority on Black America than Chuck D said, quote, black people cannot feel Tracy Chapman. So yeah, it came up, and Tracy was certainly aware of it, surprised by it, confused by it, perhaps even a tiny bit annoyed by it. But you know, it was what it was. So no, I don't think Luke Combs is like gentrifying Fast Car or anything. That song belongs to everyone, including black people. I think Chuck D is wrong about that. Now, as for the lesbianness of Fast Car, that charge might hit a little harder. Like I said, this is a very straight cover, and I mean straight as in straight. And that might be something of a loss. Tracy Chapman is a lesbian. You know, I keep saying lesbian. I actually don't know where specifically on the rainbow Tracy Chapman lands. She's very private about that kind of thing. She's never confirmed her sexuality. Women she's been with have confirmed it for her, though. I don't like speculating on artists' private lives, but that one's pretty safe. And Fast Car specifically has been like the lesbian national anthem for a long time. Like, yes, Tracy never uses any gendered pronouns in there, so who knows who she's singing to, but a whole lot of women who love women will tell you that this is clearly about two women. And, okay, at the risk of getting flambéed alive, I'm not actually so sure about that. I look at these lyrics, I think there's a stronger case that she's singing to a man. Mostly it's this one bar right here.
You got a fast car. I got a job that pays all our bills. Instead of drinking late at the bar, see more your friends than you do your kids.
I mean, separate friend groups. They have kids. Not an easy thing for a gay couple in 1988. I mean, I guess it's not impossible for that to be a woman, but for me, it slots in way more easily with the stereotype of your layabout, useless man hanging out all night with Jim, James, Paul, and Tyrone. And honestly, I think that's still a very queer perspective, right? I mean, it's a pretty dim view of heterosexual romance. No happy ending for you, straights. I mean, I have very similar thoughts on why Barry Manilow kills Tony in Copacabana. So, purely on a textual level, I think I could make the case that Luke Combs actually does the gayer version. since he doesn't change the lyrics at all, the narrator's still a woman in this.
Still ain't got a job, so I work in the market as a checkout girl.
In fact, I think we all had the same reaction listening to this for the first time. Like, you better not fucking change that fucking line, Combs. If you change that lyric, you mother... I swear to Christ.
So I work in the market as a checkout girl.
Good. Good. We're good. We're cool. Okay, just to show that I'm not actually the densest idiot alive. Yes, I do know that just singing from the perspective of the opposite gender is not the same thing as being gay. And yes, I do get why this has a reputation as a lesbian song. Aesthetically, thematically, it's very lesbian. Tracy Chapman broke out around the same time as the very out and proud Indigo Girls, who defined people's idea of lesbian music for a long time. And Tracy Chapman, with the deep voice and the androgynous looks, was a big part of that scene. And outside of maybe that one lyric, thematically, this story of trying to escape a miserable family situation, living at the bottom, scratching by, longing for just the tiniest slice of the American dream, for a lot of people, that is the gay experience. That is naturally something that doesn't come across in the Luke Combs version. I mean, I listened to his interview and what he thinks the song is about.
What do you think the song is about?
It's this, obviously, it's this girl and, you know, and her father, and you know, she's trying to, you know, remember these good times. She's taking care of him now. Obviously, the mother.
Yes, that is literally what the song's about.
Like everybody that have these core memories that they go back to of like, that's when it was, we did have good times.
Yeah.
Right, and I think you really romanticize that. I think eventually there comes a point where you're old enough to realize, like, well, there's so many bad times that I just can't really ignore them anymore. You know?
Okay, well, that's a decent description. But hold on, it's not his job to be analyzing it. That's my job. There's a reason he does what he does, and I do what I do for a lot less money. So if I can say, for me, the biggest moment of the song is the word suburbs.
We'll move out of the shelter, buy a bigger house and live in the suburbs.
And specifically how awkward it sounds coming out of Tracy's mouth. Tracy Chapman doesn't really seem like the type to dream of suburbia, you know? Like in the rest of the song, when she talks about her dreams, it's about the meaning of living and freedom and belonging.
Finally see what it means to be living.
And then all of a sudden she just drops that line in there.
Live in the suburbs.
Doesn't rhyme with anything, and it's so mundane and unromantic. It shows how her hopes and dreams are being dragged down to earth. I feel like there's like a tiny bit of irony behind it. Not as much as when Audrey dreamed of the suburbs in Little Shop of Horrors, but it's there. And just like Little Shop, you can also see why it means sincerely so much to this woman, because it's not just a given or assumed thing that can happen. It's a real question whether these two people can have the quote-unquote boring happy ending. And it sets up the tragedy of the final verse. They got the house and the job, or at the very least some level of financial stability.
I got a job that pays all our bills.
They made it, but they didn't make it. This person became a useless drunk just like her dad, and the fast car wasn't freedom, it was just a car. I would agree that this is something that gets lost.
Buy a bigger house, live in the suburbs.
I'm not sure any of that irony or tragedy comes across in Combs' version. His voice is too comforting, I guess. When he sings about the suburbs, it sounds like a normal, attainable goal. Like, I didn't realize this until I listened to them both back to back, but you listen to the original version and Tracy Chapman is that person. Not that Tracy Chapman needed more awards in 1988, but they should give Oscars for Best Acting in a song because you believe every word from her. When Tracy Chapman sings this, I hear a homeless dropout with an alcoholic dad trying to escape poverty. And when Luke Combs sings it, I hear, hey everyone, I'm Luke Combs. Want to hear me play Fast Car? I do. I like that song. I like your version of it. But it's not the same thing. But if I can defend him here, one point he made that I do really like is that this was one of the songs that made him love music.
And that was just one of the first songs really that I ever remember hearing, listening to, loving, being one of my favorite songs. It's always,
and you know, maybe there are nuances in the original that don't come across in his version. But again, I feel like I don't hear a lot of music that's about loving music. Like, I've heard haters suggest that Luke just saw a popular song and is cheaply cashing in on it. And I don't agree with that at all. I think his love of the song comes in loud and clear. If I can make kind of a weird comparison here, I also really liked Zack Snyder's Watchmen. And I know the Alan Moore fanboys will go in on the many ways that Snyder blew it or that he didn't get it, and I probably agree with most of it. But even if Snyder doesn't get Watchmen, he certainly loves Watchmen and respects Watchmen, and that carried me through it pretty well. And that's how I feel about this, I guess. I'm happy to hear this song whenever. If you want to tag someone with cheaply cashing in on nostalgia, I can think of a much better example. There's actually another cover song on the radio too. Metro Boomin and The Weeknd's cover of I Don't Wanna Know by Mario Winans.
I don't wanna know, I don't wanna know.
And I would say The Weeknd actually does improve that song by being a better singer, so it does have a reason to exist. It's actually much better than the original, honestly. But I'd still be happy to not ever hear it again. I Don't Wanna Know is obviously no fast car, but also I just don't feel like anyone was really enthusiastic about remaking I Don't Wanna Know. Metro Boomin had the idea to cover it because he saw it was still popular. He got The Weeknd to come in and lay down the track. It's very professional, but I don't sense any real deep connection to the song. And I say I do sense that from Luke Combs. So it's a tentative thumbs up for me. Cheap nostalgia bait? Maybe. But I don't really see anything wrong with that. Because the song itself is kind of about the power of nostalgia, right?
So remember when we were driving in your car, speed so fast I felt like I was drunk.
It's about that powerful feeling of one good memory. Then again, it's also kind of about the poison of nostalgia, right? She ends up trying to build a life with this person because they shared one fleeting moment of happiness that she kept chasing but could never really recreate. Okay, yeah, actually, I don't know. Maybe the subtext of this song is that you shouldn't cover it. Move on from the past, make some new memories. Oh boy, I hadn't thought of that. I'm gonna have to chew on that one. Yeah, can we get like a real new hit song in here? Doesn't anyone listen to new music anymore? Christ. And while we're talking about big white guys with goofy facial hair, you know this clown, right? Well, Lindsay Ellis has a new video up about the rise, fall, and redemption of one Guy Fieri, the Food Network host who survived being clowned on for years to become oddly wholesome. And you can watch that video exclusively on Nebula, a creator-specific platform where you can watch great videos from other creators like H-Bomber Guy, Adam Neely, and myself. And now if you sign up with my link, you get free access to Nebula classes, where our creators host classes on how to be a creator. You will not only get access to all of the great stuff Nebula offers, plus classes, but you will get it for a little over $2.50 a month. And you'd also be directly supporting me, which, I'd appreciate it. So click the link in the description and check it out below. Thank you for listening, and good night.
Remember we were driving in your car. Speed so fast I felt like I was drunk. City lights lay out before us. Arms felt